Yes, people. Now we have more about Dr. Fauci.
Well, the Biden crime family may have committed more crimes than we even knew about, and Dr. Fauci may not be off the hook for his crimes after all. So we've got some bombshell news to get to here in a minute. But first, remember when Joe Biden said his administration would not be involved in any preemptive pardons for potential criminals in his administration? Watch.
President Trump is reportedly considering a wave of preemptive pardons. Does this concern you? All these preemptive pardons?
Well, it concerns me in terms of what kind of precedent sets and how the rest of the world looks at us as a nation of laws and justice. You're not going to see in our administration that kind of approach to pardons. Nor are you going to see in our administration the approach to making policy by tweets. It's just going to be a totally different way in which we approach the justice system.
Yeah, of course it is. Well, of course, we now know that was a bald-faced lie.
And let's set aside the policy by tweets that he did all weekend. We don't even have time for that.
Right, yeah, just the policy by tweets thing is like a sideshow to this whole thing. But yes, the preemptive pardons, absolutely. And something that Trump actually didn't do. So it's kind of funny how that's all unfolded, right? So Sunday night, in a jaw-dropping move, President Joe Biden pardoned Dr. Anthony Fauci, of course, just hours before leaving office. The man who became the face of America's pandemic response now has a blanket pardon, and it goes back years, back to 2014. It's not just for anything recent. Of course, the pardon goes all the way back and covers basically to shield him from any federal charges tied to gain-of-function research and government involvement in the origins of COVID-19. Like, that is the predicate. That's exactly what this pardon is all about. But here's the big kick to the nuts for Fauci. The pardon might not actually save him at all. In fact, according to our friend Paul Thacker, excellent journalist Paul Thacker, just laid out how Fauci could still be brought to justice. Let's break this down. First of all, a presidential pardon only protects you from federal crimes, of course, so states can go after you. A number of states have an appetite to go after Fauci, including Florida specifically. And with Republican lawmakers controlling Congress, Fauci's not off the hook when it comes to investigations. Senator Rand Paul, who's made it his mission to expose Fauci, is already calling foul on this. He says that that's because Fauci lied under oath, perjuring himself. And that perjury charge won't keep Fauci out of legal hot water. Specifically, here is Senator Paul explaining how Fauci lied and covered it up.
Our investigation has confirmed that he did indeed lie. He committed a felony. He said that they did not fund, that the NIH did not fund gain-of-function, dangerous research in China. We now know that to be untrue. We know he committed a felony. But what we've discovered now is that there was a massive cover-up from the very beginning. There was a behind-the-scenes effort to change the opinion of people. Many of the Fauci colleagues all believed that the virus did come from the lab. Their opinions were all changed, but then all evidence was then covered up. They began using burner phones. They began using couriers. They said, we can't do things electronically. I can take things by hand to his house. It sounds more like the CIA than the NIH.
So as Thacker explains, even with the pardon, he can still be dragged into congressional hearings. If he's caught lying again, it could basically spark new legal battles as a result. And let's not forget state-level prosecutions here. Those are very much still on the table for Dr. Fauci. The pardon only addresses COVID-related offenses. It doesn't have anything to do with perjury. It doesn't cover the congressional perjury piece of this, lying before Congress. As Thacker says in his piece, these pardons will not stop Department of Justice investigations, said one advisor to the Trump transition team who spoke on the condition of anonymity. We expected this and look at it as a predicate to get truth from people who can no longer use the Fifth Amendment. Now we can bring every one of them in front of a grand jury.
I mean, that's the reason that preemptive pardons have not been tested, because a pardon is usually for a specific offense, known and convicted, that somebody has already served the sentence for. They're saying this is wiped from your record, or this you can no longer be prosecuted for. It's not meant to be some sort of like invisibility cloak.
Right. Right, and of course, this doesn't absolve him of any civil liabilities as well. But it gets
Yes, people, that's gonna be very ugly now. Finally, I think they can put him to court.